Okay, so imagine for a second. You're sitting alone in a quiet room, and you're trying to solve a really, really difficult problem. Could be anything. A piece of code, a moral dilemma, whatever. You struggle, you hit a wall, and then all of a sudden, click.
That light bulb moment.
Exactly. The light bulb just goes on. You get that rush, that feeling of absolute clarity. I get it.
Yeah.
Now, we all instinctively think that moment happened inside our own head, right? It feels private. It feels like my brain did the work. But what if that feeling is a total sigh?
And that's really the question we're asking today.
What if that moment of understanding wasn't, generated by you at all? What if you just logged into a single, massive, kind of cosmic hard drive?
Yeah.
One that's shared by every other human being who has ever lived.
It's a deeply, deeply disorienting idea. I mean, it completely undermines our modern sense of self, of individuality. It suggests my mind and your mind aren't these walled gardens.
No, they're more like open terminals.
Exactly, connected to the same mainframe.
It sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie. The Matrix meets some kind of ghost story. But what we're looking at today isn't science fiction. It is serious, rigorous, medieval philosophy. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the mind of Averroes, or Ibn Rushd, and his long commentary on Aristotle's De Anima.
And specifically, we're unpacking one of the most controversial and I think misunderstood ideas in the history of thought. The unicity of the intellect, which is often called monopsychism.
Monopsychism, yeah. Even the word sounds heavy.
It is heavy. The theory is, basically, that there is only one intellect for the entire human species. Not one per person. One, period.
Okay, before we get into the mechanics of that, I have to play the skeptic for a minute. Averroes was a 12th century judge, a physician. I mean, he was a rational guy. So why would someone like that come up with a theory that sounds so mystical?
Not at all, and that's the fascinating thing. He wasn't trying to be poetic. Averroes was probably the most committed Aristotelian who ever lived.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with logic. He came up with this one-mind theory because he felt he had to. He was trying to fix a bug in the system.
A bug in the system.
A huge logical paradox in Aristotle's view of the universe. Averroes looked at the mechanics of how we think, the actual, physics of knowledge, and realized the standard explanation just didn't add up.
So this was an engineering solution to a philosophical problem.
Precisely. Structural fix. But, as we'll see, it was a fix that ended up breaking almost everything else, especially the idea of a personal afterlife.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If Averroes felt forced to claim we all share one mind, what was the problem he was trying to solve? What is this Aristotelian paradox?
Well, it really boils down to a clash between two things. You have the nature of truth, and then you have the nature of, the body. Or, to put it bluntly, the conflict between the eternal and the meat.
The eternal and the meat. I like that. Break it down for me.
Okay, so think about what knowledge actually is, in the classical sense. We aren't talking about knowing that your back hurts or what an apple tastes like. We're talking about universal truths.
Like 2 + 2 = 6.
Right, or the concept of a circle. Now, the properties of the concept circle, they're universal, they're eternal. It was true 1 billion years ago, it'll be true 1 billion years from now. It doesn't age, it doesn't decay, it's perfect.
Got it. Truth is eternal. Solid.
Now look at the thing that's supposed to hold that truth. Us. You and I, we're particular. We are specific individuals. And crucially, we're perishable. We're made of matter, and matter changes. Neurons fire and die. We age and eventually...
We rot. I see the conflict. How can a rotting, biodegradable container possibly hold an eternal, unchanging truth?
That is the million-dollar question. Averroes basically said you can't. You can't put an eternal substance into a biodegradable paper cup. If the intellect holds eternal truths, then the intellect itself cannot be part of your body. If it were, it would be subject to decay. It would be particularized by your biology.
So if the idea of 2 + 2 = 4 was literally inside my brain tissue, it would have to age with me, or something like that.
In a sense, yes. Or it'd be distorted by your specific physical makeup. If knowledge is truly universal, the exact same for everyone, it can't be housed in a medium that is unique to you. So he concluded that the part of us that knows these truths has to be a separate substance.
Wow. That is a massive leap, though. To say that because math is eternal, the part of me that knows math has to be floating outside my body.
Well, for an Aristotelian, you have to embody the form. And matter is messy. Averroes is saying that if the intellect were mixed with the body, it would be like looking through a colored lens. If my lens is red and yours is blue, we never see the same truth. The only way we see the same thing is if the screen we're looking at is external to both of us.
Right, so to save the objectivity of science, he has to sacrifice the privacy of the mind.
He has to separate the mind from the brain. And this gets us to the architecture he proposed, because for him, thinking isn't just one simple process.
Right. I saw in the sources he makes a huge distinction between thinking and understanding, or cogitatio and intellect.
Yes, this is the real nuts and bolts of the theory.
Okay, let's strip the engine down then. Because if my brain isn't doing the understanding, I need to know what my brain is doing. I mean, I can feel myself thinking right now. That has to be me, right?
And the Averroes would say, yes, that is you. But that is not intellect. That internal chatter, the planning, the remembering, that's what he calls cogitatio. In Arabic, fear.
Cogitatio, the faculty of cogitation.
Right. It's the stream of consciousness we live in. And he creates a hard border here. He says this faculty is absolutely 100% bodily. It's tied to your physical brain.
And what's it working with? What's the raw material of cogitatio?
It works with phantasms.
Phantasms? Sounds spooky.
It's just jargon for sense images. If I say think of a horse, you picture one. That image is a phantasm. It's produced by your imagination, based on horses you've actually seen, and that part is yours. It's individual. My image of a horse is different from yours.
Okay, so my imagination, my memories, sensory stuff, that's all cogitatio. That's the paper cup. It's mine, and it's perishable.
Exactly. When you die, your cogitatio dies. And here's the pivot. Cogitatio is not true understanding.
Why not?
Because you can imagine a specific horse, but that image doesn't give you the biological definition of equine. To move from the messy image to the pure universal law, you need a different engine. You need the intellect.
And this is where the separation happens.
This is it. Averroes splits the intellect into two parts, and neither is inside you. First, there's the material intellect, sometimes called the potential intellect.
The text describes it as a receiver or a medium.
That's a great way to think of it. It's like a perfectly transparent, infinite movie screen. It has no color, no shape of its own. It's just potential. And Averroes insists this material intellect is one. There aren't 7 billion of them.
Just one big screen for all of humanity.
One shared immaterial warehouse. It's where knowledge exists. And because it's one, it guarantees objectivity. How do we know my concept of justice is the same as yours? Because we're literally logging into the exact same location in this shared space.
Okay, so the material intellect is the warehouse where truths are stored. But something has to put them there.
Precisely. It's just potential. To turn the light on, you need an active force. This brings us to the second player, the active intellect, or agent intellect.
The power source.
The projector, or the sun. The active intellect is a divine substance, the lowest of the celestial intelligences. It's eternal, separate from us, and it's always on.
Okay, so we've got 3 parts. My personal cogitatio, my brain and its messy images. Then the shared material intellect, the screen. And this divine active intellect, the light. How do they actually connect to make a thought happen?
This is the process called conjunction, or itisal. Here's how it works. Your personal imagination presents a phantasm, say, that image of a triangle you're picturing.
Right. It's got wobbly lines. Maybe it's a red triangle. It's not the pure concept yet.
Exactly. You're holding up the sketch. Then the active intellect shines its light on that phantasm. It abstracts the universal form, pure triangularity, stripping away the redness and the wobbles, and it deposits that pure form into the shared material intellect.
So it reads my messy sketch and projects the perfect blueprint onto the shared screen.
Yes. And here's the twist. In that precise moment, when that form hits the material intellect, you understand. You get the aha. But because the material intellect is separate from you, strictly speaking, you are not the one thinking.
I'm not.
No. The thinking is happening in the shared mind. You are just connected to it for a moment. You don't have an intellect. For that moment, the intellect has you.
Whoa, that completely flips the script.
So thinking isn't an action I perform. It's a state I participate in.
It's a state of being conjoined with the eternal. Without it, you're just a biological machine shuffling images. With it, you're temporarily plugged into the divine mind.
That is humbling and a little terrifying. It really shifts the perspective from I am a genius to I am a sufficiently tuned antenna.
Antenna is the perfect analogy. And if your antenna is broken, if your brain is damaged, you can't pick up the signal. The signal's still there, perfect and eternal, but your radio can't play the music. Let's ground this a bit because it's pretty abstract. The text uses a geometric proof as an example.
Yes, the classic example. Let's say you're trying to prove the angles of a triangle sum to 180 degrees.
Okay, so phase 1 is the cogitatio phase. That's me at my desk, drawing triangles, visualizing them, maybe tearing the corners off and lining them up.
Right. That's labor. It's biological, messy, personal. It's born of your specific brain and body.
But that's not the proof itself. That's just filling.
Exactly. Then comes the flash. The moment where you stop looking at the one drawing and you just get it. You realize, this must be true for every single triangle. That sudden feeling of universal certainty, that is not your brain.
That's the connection being made.
That is the active intellect using your messy drawing as a key to unlock the universal truth in the shared material intellect. Your brain provided the sketch, the shared mind provided the understanding.
Like my brain uploaded a sketch and the cloud returned the perfect blueprint.
And it works for moral reasoning, too. This is where it gets really interesting. The source mentions justice.
Right, so two people from different cultures are arguing about a theft, maybe.
Their initial reactions are cogitatio, emotions, biases, personal history, my truth versus your truth.
But then hopefully they start debating the definition of justice. Justice requires equality. Fairness means treating like cases alike.
When they move to that abstract level, they're grappling with the same single intelligible form of justice.
So the only reason they can have a meaningful debate is because there's only one concept of justice they're both trying to access.
Precisely. Otherwise, it's just opinions. I like vanilla, you like chocolate. There's no truth. But here they're looking at the same statue in the center of the room, just from different angles.
That actually creates a beautiful picture of human unity. But there's always a but. I feel a trap door here.
You've spotted it, the trap door that leads straight to the heresy charges.
If the part of me that thinks the intellect is separate and shared, and the part that is me, my memories, my personality is bodily, what happens when I die?
This is the shocking consequence. The pill that was just too hard for the medieval world to swallow.
Walk us through the grim arithmetic.
Your personality, your memories, your love for your family, that's all cogitatio. It's a function of the body. When the body dies,
It's gone.
it perishes, shuts down. Now, the intellects, the material and active, they are eternal, they survive. But they're not you, they don't have your memories. The shared mind doesn't remember that you were the one who understood the triangle proof. It just holds the proof.
So in Averroes' system, there's no personal immortality.
None. You do not survive. The only thing that remains is the impersonal universal mind. He was very clear on this.
That is bleak, especially for a medieval thinker. It's a disaster for religion.
It completely destroys the reward structure. If there's no individual soul that survives, who gets punished for sins, who gets rewarded for virtue.
Right. If I do something wrong, my body did it, but my body rots. The intellect is just a neutral hard drive. You can't send a hard drive to hell.
Exactly. It makes individual moral responsibility seem pointless in the long run. The drop returns to the ocean, and the drop is gone. This is why the church panics.
So how did Averroes deal with this? He was a religious man.
He argued for a different kind of salvation. He talks about felicity, a supreme intellectual happiness. He argued the goal of life isn't getting a ticket to the afterlife. The goal is to achieve that state of conjunction as often and as deeply as possible while you are alive.
So heaven isn't a place you go when you die. It's a state of mind you achieve right now.
Exactly. That fleeting participation in divine, eternal thought. That is as good as he gets. He thought he was purifying religion from superstition.
But the establishment did not see it that way.
Oh, Firestorm is putting it mildly. Thomas Aquinas wrote an entire treatise called On the Unity of the Intellect Against the Averroists. He was furious.
And it went official, didn't it?
Yes. The Bishop of Paris issued condemnations in 1270 and 1277, effectively banning this teaching. If you taught monopsychism at the University of Paris, you were excommunicated.
It's a classic case of logic colliding with hope. Logic says you're a temporary machine. Hope says I am an eternal soul.
And he sided with the logic. But even if we reject his conclusion, his model forces us to ask a question we usually avoid.
Which is?
What part of my thoughts are actually mine? I mean, we live in a world of algorithms, viral memes. We're more plugged in than ever. Are we really independent thinkers?
It brings us right back to the start. We think of our minds as fortresses, but Averroes sees us as terminals.
We are temporary antennas, tuning into a universal broadcast of truth.
Yeah.
The signal is always there. We just build these receivers, our brains, to pick it up for a few decades, and then the receiver breaks down. But the signal continues.
That's a beautiful, if a little haunting image to end on. It makes you feel small, but also connected to everything.
It connects us in the most literal way possible. We're not separate islands. We're the archipelago of a single submerged continent.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. The next time you have a brilliant idea, a solution, a realization, even just getting a joke, ask yourself a question.
Did you create that thought? Or did you just find it?
If Averroes is right, our greatest thoughts don't belong to us at all. They belong to humanity's one eternal mind. We're just lucky enough to host them for a moment.
A real privilege to be the host.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a heavy one, but hopefully your active intellect is firing on all cylinders now.
It was a pleasure. Keep thinking.
See you next time.